If you feel empty after watching it, that's not by accident. It's stealing more than your time. It's not just a bad habit. It's not just something everybody does. And it's definitely not harmless. It's a spiritual disease. A slow, silent thief that robs you not only of your focus and energy, but of your fire, your willpower, your self-respect. And the scariest part, you won't even realize it's happening. It doesn't hit you all at once. It chips away at you, quietly, in the background, like erosion. Until one day, you look in the mirror and you don't recognize the person staring back. Let's be brutally honest here. Porn is one of the most powerful traps of the modern age. It promises pleasure, but delivers emptiness. It promises connection, but leaves you alone. It promises freedom, but builds invisible chains. And ancient philosophers, people who lived thousands of years before this technology existed, warned us about it. Not about porn specifically, but about what it represents. Unchecked desire, pleasure without discipline, lust without meaning. A life driven by appetite instead of purpose. Let's start with something Marcus Aurelius said, the Roman emperor who practiced stoicism and ruled over the most powerful empire on earth. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Now ask yourself this. If you can't control when or how often you click on something that makes you feel like trash after, what kind of power do you really have? See, porn isn't just a trap. It's a training program, but not the kind that makes you stronger. It trains your brain to chase pleasure and avoid challenge. It trains you to run from discomfort, to seek stimulation when life feels boring, to numb your pain instead of facing it. It trains you to become reactive, not intentional. And here's the kicker. Every time you escape into porn, you miss a moment where you could have grown. You miss the tension. You miss the inner battle. You miss the chance to choose strength over comfort. In Buddhism, there's a concept called dukkha, which roughly translates to suffering, dissatisfaction, restlessness. And one of the root causes of this suffering is attachment, clinging. Porn is attachment on steroids. You're not just watching it. You're addicted to the idea that you need it, that without it, you'll feel worse, that it's your reward, your release, your coping tool. But all it really does is lower your baseline. It makes everyday life feel dull. It kills your ability to find joy in simple things. Because how can a walk outside compete with 100 tabs of hyper-stimulated fantasy? This is where ancient teachings slap us awake. The Tao Te Ching says, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." And in today's world, self-conquest is rare. We live in a society that encourages indulgence, not mastery. They tell you, do what feels good. But pleasure without meaning is poison. Every time you indulge in porn, you're strengthening the part of yourself that craves ease and weakening the part that seeks greatness. Now let's talk biology for a second, but not the stuff you've heard 100 times. Yeah, dopamine spikes. Yeah, you get desensitized. But let's go deeper. In Taoist alchemy, they believed that your sexual energy, your jing, was sacred. It was your life force. Not something to be wasted, but something to be stored, cultivated, and transformed into power, clarity, creativity. They weren't just talking about superstition. They understood that when you waste your energy, you become fragmented, scattered, weak. When you hold on to it and master it, you become focused, sharp, magnetic. People can feel it in your presence, in your words, in your eyes. Now think about what porn really is. Not just pictures and videos, but a siphon. A system designed to take your energy and give you nothing in return. You don't even leave with memories, just shame. That's not release, that's robbery. And it's more dangerous than you think. In early Christian monasticism, the Desert Fathers, some of the earliest monks who withdrew into the wilderness, talked about lust not just as sin, but as a demon. Not a red monster with horns, but a force that eats away at your soul. They believed it clouded the mind, weakened your prayer, and pulled you away from divine purpose. But they weren't just about suppression, they were about discipline. They believed in fasting, solitude, meditation, not to punish the body, but to purify the will, because the will is a muscle. If you don't train it, it withers. And every time you give into impulse, that muscle gets weaker. But every time you resist, every time you choose to delay gratification, you get stronger. You become the kind of person who can do hard things, who doesn't run, who doesn't fold, who builds. Let's make this even more real. Porn kills ambition. That fire you had when you were younger, that dream of building something, leading something, becoming something, porn makes it flicker and fade. Why chase purpose when pleasure is one click away? But here's the truth. The most meaningful things in life come after resistance. Fulfillment doesn't come easy. It comes through effort, pain, sweat. It comes from leaning into the discomfort, not escaping it. And that's the real tragedy of porn. It takes that pain, the same pain that could have forged you into something great, and numbs it, turns it into nothing. So what do? You start by telling the truth. To yourself. No more denial. No more, it's not that bad. You look it in the face and say, this is not who I want to be. Then you replace it. Not just by trying to quit, but by creating something better. Fill your time with meaning. Read, move, build, reflect, connect, create. Become someone who is too full of life to waste time on a screen. Meditate, journal, train. Talk to real people. Build skills. Make art. Find your voice. Be out in nature. Study ancient wisdom. Do things that awaken your soul, not just your senses. And when the craving hits, don't run. Sit with it. Watch it. Let it rise and fall like a wave. Understand that the craving is not your enemy. It's your training partner. It's here to test you. And every time you say no, you grow. Over time, you'll start to feel something shift. That emptiness, it'll turn into space. That shame, into clarity. That fog, into fire. And that's when you'll realize this was never just about porn. It was about power. About becoming who you were meant to be. So the next time you're staring at that screen, ask yourself, is this worth trading my power for? Is this how the greatest version of me spends his time? Or do I choose the harder path, the one that leads to greatness? Remember this, you are not your urges. You are not your habits. You are not your past. You are what you decide to do next. So decide, right now, choose power over pleasure, purpose over porn, the warrior over the slave, because you weren't made to consume, you were made to conquer.